We're getting ready for a massive show on Wednesday for National Signing Day, but today's show is a very close second. We have an updated Top 247 rankings reveal. It includes some major movement in the top 5. Plus, we have the honor of delivering the All-American Bowl Award nominees. And one of the top players in 2025 is on standby, ready to make his commitment with us live. All that and more as the college football recruiting show starts right now. You are taking a look live at the Calhoun Media Center in Calhoun, Georgia. That's where Emaree Winston, the number 8 tight end in the 2025 class, is set to make his college decision. So all my Ohio State, Texas, and UCF fans, listen up. Do not go anywhere. You could land one of the top players in the country in just minutes. Alongside Smoke Dixon, filling in for Blair Angulo, I am Emily Proud. A reminder to submit your questions in the chat, but the only way that happens is if you subscribe to the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel. Also, please hit the like button on this video so we know that you're watching. And thank you for watching, and happy National Signing Day Eve. I don't know about you, but this is a holiday that I celebrate. As a former college general manager, though, Smoke, I got to get your take on this. What is it like right now leading up to signing day?
Well, this is a recipe for no-dose and Red Bull because you got to stay up all day and have a lot of energy for these last 48 hours coming up to it. So the coaches are working the phones right now. So the committed guys that's been committed for months or even weeks or days, you're trying to make sure that nobody else gets on the phone with them to flip them.
Yeah.
And now on the other end as a coach, you're trying to get on the phone with all the guys you're trying to flip, get the head coach on the phone with them just to try to set that flip up and make sure that pancake does get flipped over. And now you're working also with the parents through the national letter of intent, how to sign it, how to send a document in properly. So when that comes through, you can sign, seal, and everybody goes down the hall cheering.
Everyone goes down the hall cheering. I love it. I picture some champagne pops, just some general excitement going on. But before we get there, we got to let you know some of the latest headlines that are happening in the world of college football recruiting, because as we are 2 days out until signing day, we have our first 5-star flip of the week. The number 2 safety in the class, Xavier Filzame, has flipped his commitment from Florida to Texas. Smoke, how big a win is this for the Longhorns?
Huge win, because you're getting a modern-day safety, a guy that can cover, play the half, come down, tackle, physical guy. You see him come up here and make this physical tackle. But again, he has ball skills, and he's an explosive athlete. Whenever I looked at athletes as such, you've seen this guy go from his freshman year running in 11.2s to running 10.5s as a sophomore. Big jump, great developmental growth for this young man right here.
Big win for the Longhorns. All right, although we have our sights set on celebrating the 2024 class, we are still looking ahead to 25. And there, the number 1 prospect, quarterback Bryce Underwood, fresh off a visit to Alabama. The Michigan product will make his decision on January 6th. But what do you like so much about his skill set?
Game changer. Right? He's not a manager of the game. This guy can do, if you are perfect on defense, he can make the defense wrong. Poise in the pocket for a young guy. Ability to pass with accuracy, timing, and touch. And when the play breaks down, athleticism and explosive runner in order to score the football. This guy's a game changer.
Make the defense wrong.
Make him wrong.
I love that. Okay, the second 5-star quarterback from last cycle, he's hit the portal. USC quarterback Malachi Nelson is expected to enter. So, Smoke, we didn't see a whole lot of him playing behind the Heisman Trophy winner and Caleb Williams, but what kind of quarterback just hit the market?
Well, he's a talented thrower of the football. He can get it anywhere that he wants to. He has enough mobility to win when the game breaks down. But the challenging thing when you get this guy is, where is he at mentally after leaving a year at USC? With Lincoln Riley being a quarterback guru, you think a guy like this want to stick around. So, not red flags, but it's some challenging stuff that you got to go through as long as he can check out physically.
Certainly. Let's head back to the 2024 cycle. Florida State commit KJ Bolden was in Tallahassee over the weekend for an official. There, he reaffirmed his commitment to the Noles and actually canceled his last-minute visit to Auburn ahead of signing day. So it looks like we can maybe, cancel flip watch for him for the number 1 safety. So if he does end up signing with the Noles, what kind of impact can he have?
Playmaker, fast, explosive, get the ball in his hands as the return that this guy can score touchdowns. Like I said, modern-day safeties that you're seeing come around right now in college football is you're just playing hurry football, hurry-up football. So you have to be on the field with the ability to play the run as a star, because he's a star safety for me, and also have the coverage skills to play over that slot receiver and cover him man-to-man and get on the back end and be a middle of the field safety or come off the hash as a half field safety.
Certainly someone.
Really good get for whoever gets this guy.
Yeah, looking like Florida State here. But speaking of flip watch, nothing stronger than what is happening with the #1 quarterback in 2024. Georgia commit Dylan Raiola is fresh off a visit to Nebraska and following 7, count them, 7 crystal balls are now in for the Huskers to pull off the flip. No decision from the Buford quarterback, but as this story continues to develop, we've got to welcome in our friend Mike Schaefer of Husker 24/7. So we're just a few days away until signing day. This is something that we've been thinking could potentially happen, but what are you hearing as far as the latest with Raiola and Nebraska?
Yeah, he was on campus this weekend for Nebraska, and it was another good visit. I mean, I think at this point, Dylan Raiola is the one giving the campus tours because he's been on campus so many times since 2021. So they had a few other guys out there with him. But we were told everything went really well. It continues to progress where it looks like Nebraska is really going to be able to pull this off. Basically a 3-year recruitment in the making coming down in the last couple days of the recruiting cycle to land a legacy. Things continue to look very good for the Huskers here. And you know what? This time, Dylan, who's seen baseball games, basketball games, football games, he went to a wrestling match. So Nebraska's just, they're showing him a little bit of everything when he's out here, I suppose.
With this longtime commit, Daniel Kaelin, rumored to go to Michigan State this weekend. That didn't happen. With all this flip conversation going on with Dylan Raiola, where is he at in terms of his commitment and how firm is he with that?
Yeah, it's been fascinating because every step of the way, there's been Dylan Raiola for Daniel Kaelin, who absolutely loves Nebraska. He's been a leader in this class. He helped peer recruit a number of the guys that are in there, including top 247 commit Carter Nelson. And so he's a really popular guy in this class. So I think there was a little concern when the when it was thought that he was going to be in East Lansing for a Michigan State visit. But I think ultimately cooler heads sort of prevailed. Nebraska has really pressed upon him. They want him as part of this class. And, if Nebraska can walk away with 2 Elite 11 quarterbacks in one class for Matt Rule as he tries to build back this program, it's a good thing in this day and age where guys jump in and out of the portal all the time.
Which is funny because that's what we were thinking was going to happen with Georgia, getting 2 top 20 quarterbacks. But as these things do, sometimes they flip, as we like to say. So if Raiola does end up signing with Nebraska, outside of giving some free campus tours, what can that do to Matt Rule and their recruiting efforts heading into the 2025 cycle?
It immediately makes Nebraska more viable for a lot of the top-end wide receivers that I know that Garrett McGuire, their wide receiver coach, has been working on. And they've really pushed into both Florida and Texas in the 2024 class. They've got a bunch of offers out in both of those states for 2025. And I think Nebraska is really going to try to push upon the idea that Dylan Raiola is going to be the quarterback of the future, and they're going to be looking for pass catchers to join the likes of Carter Nelson and Malachi Coleman, and Nebraska needs to go out and find some of those guys, both in the short term and then in the long term. So I think for 2025, it has a chance to really sort of help them with some skill position players on offense, an area where Nebraska's lagged a little bit since Matt Rule has entered the picture here as a head coach.
All right, keep that phone on loud because we will be calling you soon when and if this news eventually drops. Mike, thank you for...
Do not doubt it.
I appreciate it. Thanks for keeping us updated as Dylan Raiola Watch 2023 continues. You will want to keep it locked in to Husker 24/7 for the latest. You can follow their coverage as the story continues to develop online at Husker247.com. Meanwhile, our scouting team has been hard at work putting together the most up-to-date reports on this 2024 class as they get ready to put pen to paper on Wednesday. So that said, we're releasing a brand new top 247 rankings update. And to help us break down those new rankings, let's welcome in our friend, 24/7 Sports Director of Scouting, Andrew Ivins. Andrew, you just weren't busy enough getting ready for Wednesday, so you guys are just going to go ahead and do a whole other update to get us ready to go. So before we present the 5 stars, tell us a little bit more about what goes into the evaluation process for this latest update.
Yeah, we wanted to get a little bit of a tweak in here before signing day. We had a few postseason all-star events, the Alabama-Mississippi game. I was at the Shrine Bowl of the Carolinas as well. And then obviously you had the state playoffs. I mean, Texas just wrapped up over the weekend. So not a ton of wholesale changes with this, but some guys slide up on the board. And really we stayed put with a lot of these guys that are in the top 247 because we're going to see them in a few weeks at the Under Armour All-America game and the All-American Bowl, and then obviously the Polynesian Bowl before we finalize these things. So a lot of senior film, a lot of live evaluations, and just kind of get the pieces in order before we finalize it, like I said.
Yeah, just like our updates, these players are not complete products yet, so you continue to update that. Before we show you the list of 5 stars, I'm going to ask you one more time to hit that like button. We really do appreciate it. A lot of people watching, and a lot of people want to know about those 5 stars, so let's go ahead and present them to you, starting with 32 to 26, and we have no new 5 stars because 3 of those, of the 9 total wide receivers in the top 32 are in this section. And speaking of pass catchers, I got to highlight the number 1 and only 5-star tight end in Penn State commit Luke Reynolds, coming in at number 27, up a couple of spots there. Let's move up the list, 25 to 20. Starting to see some of those edge defenders in this section. South Carolina commit Dylan Stewart and Texas pledge Colin Simmons, both top 25 nationally. Let's move on up to 19 to 11, and that is where you will find the new number 1 offensive tackle, one of our biggest risers in this latest update, Colorado commit Jordan Seaton, up 17 spots to the number 13 overall player in the class. Let's show you the top 10, and once again, our number 1 player is unchanged, Jeremiah Smith, the wide receiver committed to Ohio State. And our number 1 quarterback and number 2 overall player remains Dylan Raiola. But take a look at number 4 there. DJ Lagway moving on up. I know my friend Smoke over here is going to ask you about that in a bit, but I've got to talk about the number 1 player because Smith, Andrew, holds firm as the top player in the cycle. What has he done and what has he shown you to keep that top title?
Well, what hasn't he done, right? I mean, it's been a productive career there at Chaminade Madonna Prep. Just won his 3rd straight state title. In the state title game, I mean, opening drive, all 3 passes went to him for 69 yards and a touchdown. This is a kid that had 88 catches as a senior for just under 1,400 yards and 19 touchdowns. We continue to think he is the safest bet. You know, Florida, Florida State, Miami, all trying to make a run at Jeremiah Smith here down the stretch, and it's easy to see why. I mean, we think this is a guy that could step in right away and play at the Power 5 level. So he maintains that spot. He's a guy we have liked throughout this process. I compare him a little bit to Julio Jones. I think you could pick your NFL wide receiver and draw some similarities to him. So Jeremiah Smith stays at the top. It's the on-field resume. It's what he does off the field. He has just been the best of the best to date so far.
Well, the number 1 guy for me out of this whole quarterback thing is DJ Lagway. He jumped from 17 to number 4. I'm just studying him over the course of the season. What made him jump up from 7 to 4?
Well, Smoke, I mean, you know, we're going through all these quarterbacks in their senior seasons. DJ Lagway, I don't think any player in America had as good of a senior season as him. Coming into the year, 10-10 as a starter, so a 500 record. Well, he goes 12-1 for Willis High School, leading them to the regional finals for the first time since 1994. That 12-1 record, best record in 60 years at the school, and it's not a powerhouse. I mean, Willis is only going to have 1 other player sign on Wednesday alongside DJ Lagway, so he was the difference. Texas 6A state record in touchdown passes with 59. My guy Gabe Brooks on the scouting team, he compared the senior seasons for Kyler Murray, Patrick Mahomes, and DJ Lagway. They are near identical as seniors coming out of high school. I love the way this kid throws the football. He improved as a passer, and then he's just a dynamic athlete. We're talking about 6'3", 225 pounds. He can use that core balance to make off-platform throws. We think he has one of the highest ceilings here. There were some conversations behind the scenes about potentially making him the number 1 prospect. We elected to wait. Want to see what he does at the Under Armour All-American game. But Billy Napier and the Florida Gators, assuming they're holding on to DJ Lagway, he is a guy that can transform that program because he can beat you with his arm and he can beat you with his legs.
Yeah, you mentioned hold on. I know some of those new coaches at some Texas schools were trying to make some in-home visits with him and keep him in state, but it seems like Florida remains pretty solid for his commitment. How about another big riser, Jordan Seaton? What was the conversation behind his big jump?
Well, Emily, you know this. I mean, throughout the cycle, we've been doing these shows, for, I don't know, a year now? We keep saying, hey, there's no premium corner protectors out there, or this cycle lacks it. And after diving into all of the tape, we feel like Jordan Seaton is the best of the bunch. I mean, he is super light on his feet. We've mentioned it in the past, how he has transformed his body since the first time I saw him at the FBU Freshman All-American game. That's where I'm at tonight to see these 2027 prospects. 3 years ago, I saw Jordan Seaton on the field behind me. You know, he's this big, kind of pudgy kid. He reworked the body, and then it's just his ability to not only move the feet and get down to the second level, but react and recover and pass protection. His final game against St. Francis Academy, I thought it was the best game he has played to date. Nasty finisher, helped his team finish 10-0. Another guy we're excited to see in the postseason All-Star events, and I think if you're a fan of Colorado and you watch them give up all those sacks in 2023, you got to be fired up, because Jordan Seaton is going to provide help and potentially in year one.
With the All-Star game looming right now, you know, there's a couple of guys that are right there on the cusp of getting this five-star status. Who are some of the names with the guys that could get that next bump up to 5-star?
Well, it starts with Amarius Williams, a Florida pass rusher commit out of the state of North Carolina. What's interesting about Amarius is he could actually be a class of 2025 recruit. He's got a late August birthday. His parents obviously put him in school early. I thought the senior tape for him was awesome. You'll see him here rushing the passer. He's listed at 270 pounds. And what's crazy is in the state playoffs there in North Carolina, they actually had to start him at running back down the stretch. In the final 4 games of the season, 14 offensive touchdowns, and it's not like he's some big fullback, you know, running in between the tackles. Amarius Williams is outrunning people. Another big potential riser for us, Josiah Thompson, the South Carolina offensive tackle commit. I just talked about, you know, this cycle lacking some premium corner protectors. Well, I saw Josiah Thompson at the Shrine Bowl of the Carolinas. He's over 6'6". He's got long levers. Super light, kind of reminds us of David Sanders from the 2025 cycle, but not many guys move like him. I think he's a monster win for the Gamecocks. You know, they need to rebuild that offensive line. Shane Beamer does. Josiah Thompson, probably a developmental guy, but just like with Jordan Seaton, huge ceiling, prototypical offensive tackle. He can move his feet and protect the quarterback's blind side. Finally, Tre'Dez Green, LSU tight end commit. This guy was awesome in the inside the Superdome, or Mercedes-Benz Dome. I don't even know what they call it there down there in New Orleans now. In the state title game, 96 catches and a touchdown. He was productive all year long. Our guy Gabe Brooks on the scouting team signaled us, hey, man, we got to get him higher. We got to get him higher. Didn't really want to shake up the tight ends too much. Obviously, Luke Reynolds is number 1 for us. Carter Nelson is number 2. And then right behind that is Tre'Dez Green. And what's awesome is we're going to get all 3 of them at the All-American Bowl in San Antonio. But he's a perimeter winner on the outside. He's a guy that is going to give opposing defenses fits just with the combination of his size and hands.
All right, so we showed you the 5 stars. We talked about the almost 5 stars, but the entire top 247 went through an update. I feel the need to say this every time we do an update. That's 247 players. So who are some of the notable risers that you feel deserve a special mention?
Yeah, I don't think me and Cooper Patagna slept this weekend. We were grinding the midnight lamp trying to close out this update. Biggest riser off the top of my head, Will Eccles, two-way lineman out of the state of Mississippi. Cooper saw him at practices for the Alabama-Mississippi game. He thought he was the best player there, and that's why he shot up on the board. Committed to Ole Miss. They like him on defense. We think he could play offense. We'll see how it shakes out. But we're talking about Mississippi's Mr. Football for the class of 4A. It's always rare to see a lineman like that get that award. But he had 15 sacks, 73 tackles in 9 games. He's twitchy and he's powerful, a rare combination. Ryan Puglisi was another riser for us, the quarterback commit for Georgia out of the state of Connecticut. This is a guy we got a good, hard look at the Elite 11 finals back in June. Thought he threw a bit of a fastball, and he's got a baseball background, but it was too much of a fastball. We wanted to see more touch from him, and we saw that during his senior season up there in New England. I think Georgia, we'll see what happens with Dylan Raiola, but Ryan Puglisi is someone that the folks in Athens are excited about, and we're excited about him as well. I think the most underrated part of his game, as you just saw it right there, is his ability to run the football. He is athletic. You can see kind of that baseball background show up again. He can pick up yardage. And then finally, the third one for us, Lugard Edopaye. I hope I got that name right. Just kind of learned about him. He's someone that came on our radar a few months ago. I call him a spider. He is over 6'6", and he has some of the longest limbs in the 2024 cycle. One school told me when he visited, he had a 7'1" wingspan. He uses that reach to his advantage, snap after snap. And I think what also stands out about Lugard is he also can win with the get off. Michigan is involved in the recruitment. Tennessee's involved in the recruitment. Maryland, Smokes Old School, is involved in the recruitment. Rutgers. He is the classic case of a late riser and a guy with a basketball background. So one of the more unique body types we have come across here in the 2024 cycle. I think he's a developmental guy, but man, if he pans out, you want that length on your defense.
Smoke was mouthing beast. When you talk about, I mean, a 7-foot plus wingspan is pretty nuts. Okay, you mentioned Ryan Puglisi and that we're going to see what happens with Dylan Raiola. Well, Andrew, we now know what is going to happen with Dylan Raiola. This is breaking news. He has officially flipped his commitment from Georgia to Nebraska. This is per ESPN's Pete Thamel. So while we've got our director of scouting on the show, Andrew, tell the Huskers fans out there, what kind of quarterback are they about to sign?
Well, we think he's got the best arm here in the 2024 cycle. You know, there's a reason why he has been ranked where he is. I think the number that stands out for me from his 2024 senior season, or excuse me, 2023 senior season, is just one interception on 250 pass attempts. I also love how Dylan moves in the pocket, evades pressure. He can create off script. We've seen all the Patrick Mahomes-like side angles. And I think he's a guy that could be ready to go year one. Now, I don't think that is the ideal situation. We saw what happened with some of these high-profile quarterbacks here this past season when they got thrust into action. But when you look at Nebraska, 129th nationally last year in passing offense, it was a bit of a disaster. You know, they were involved with Kyle McCord in the transfer portal market. They haven't got a veteran arm coming in. So I think all eyes turn to Dylan. He's going to be the highest ranked recruit ever in Nebraska football history, at least in the modern era. I don't have the newspaper clippings to go back to the heydays, but this is a big deal for Matt Rule. And I think it's going to allow them to only attract more talent to Lincoln. Matt Rule wants to build it from the ground up, right? He ripped it down to the studs. I think a lot of fans there, they saw the results year one on the field and are like, all right, what about this? Well, it's going to take some time. Now he's got a bell cow in the boat that everyone knows. I think they're going to see a bump on the recruiting trail in 2025, and I think he's going to improve their passing attack. You got Malachi Coleman, a freaky wide receiver from last cycle. You got Carter Nelson, a freaky tight end coming this year. I mean, if you want a guy to get them the ball deep, Dylan Raiola is that individual.
Yeah, we just talked to Mike Schaefer about his ability to recruit some players to Nebraska. He is one piece, but hoping to bring some more along with him. Smoke, I know you played with his dad, but what do you think about son, Dylan Raiola?
Son's a better athlete than dad. Dad was a center.
Oh, okay.
But when you look at him, he's a talented passer.
Yeah.
He can do everything that you want him to do on the football field. But I think where this guy comes in and how he helps your program is a talent that wants to come in and play with him. You're going to see guys that start running to Nebraska because they want to catch balls from Mr. Raiola.
What is it that makes him such a great passer? There's so many great quarterbacks that are in this class, but what stands out about him in particular?
His ability to pass with touch and timing in the pocket when the pocket gets real dirty. Everyone passes with the ball like real good when the pocket is clean. It's like playing 7-on-7. But when the pocket breaks down around Mr. Dillon, he is so calm and he understands where to go with the ball before the ball even comes out of his hands. He plays the game a little bit further than he's supposed to just because he comes from a football family and he's been around football for a long period of time. You've seen a guy that's he's older. He's playing like he's third or fourth year in college and he's just in high school because he sees the game so much slower. The game is slowed down for him right now.
I like to picture his dad maybe taking some snaps with him in the backyard, center to quarterback. Huge win for Nebraska here. But Andrew, while I've got you, one more question. We've got to talk to those Georgia fans out there that are going, oh no, we just lost the number one quarterback. But you mentioned what they have in Ryan Puglisi. Tell our Georgia fans here, why is it all going to be okay at the signal caller position?
Yeah, I mean, I think early on, if you looked at our rankings, you go back to the summer coming out of the Elite 11 finals, you would have thought there was a pretty sizable gap between Puglisi and Raiola. And I think that gap shrunk here during their senior seasons. And again, I keep saying this. I mean, you talk to anyone that is inside Georgia's football facilities, they love Pugga. They like Ryan Puglisi. They think there is, he was talented, and they expected him at some point down the line to compete with Raiola. So I think, if you're a Georgia fan, there is no reason to panic. We know what Kirby Smart wants to do. He wants to be good in the trenches. You look at Georgia's offensive line class, it's the Great Wall of Athens. 6 individuals committed. They're all over 6'5", and they average 345 pounds. It's a ton of mass. They want to run the football, and then they have the quarterback who is going to take the shots when they need to, but he's also going to protect the football. I think Ryan Puglisi can do just that, and I think the X factor for him is his ability to move the chains with his legs. He can do that as a runner. I also think Georgia, Carson Beck a few hours ago announced that he's going to come back for 2024. And then Georgia, when they have to go on the market for a transfer portal quarterback, it's certainly an attractive destination. So where we are right now in college football with all the quarterback movement at all these schools, I think Georgia's going to be fine. And I think they're going to try to make a move someone on in that 2025 cycle. Julian Lewis, our number 1 ranked player in the class of 2026, he's committed to USC, right? But he was in Athens recently, and he has been a regular at UGA. What happens if he decides to reclass to 2025? I think Georgia can get involved there, and we're going to see more arms emerge, here over the next few months. So I think there's no reason for Georgia to panic. I know they were making some calls recently to different signal callers here in the 2024 cycle. Seems like they might want to take 2 quarterbacks, so who knows? Georgia might not be done.
Thank you, Andrew. For the full list and to get ready for signing day, make sure you check out 247sports.com. You can see the updated top 247 and read all about potential flips and drama ahead of National Signing Day. Plus, catch Andrew and Cooper Patagna on the Football Recruiting Podcast. A new episode will drop tomorrow at 5 o'clock on the 247 Sports YouTube channel. And just like signing day, the All-American Bowl is a celebration and recognition of all the hard work players across the country put into their sport. The game will be played January 6th in San Antonio, Texas, and the day before, the All-American Bowl awards are given out. So today, we unveil the finalists. First up, the finalists for the Anthony Munoz Lineman of the Year Award, given to the top high school linemen in the class of 2024. The finalists are Edric Houston, the defensive lineman out of Buford High in Georgia, is committed to play at Ohio State. LJ McCray, the defensive lineman from Mainland High School in Daytona Beach, Florida, is committed to play at Florida. Jordan Seaton, the offensive lineman out of IMG Academy in Bradenton, Florida, is committed to Colorado. Andrew Spragg, the offensive lineman from Rockhurst High in Kansas City, Missouri, is committed to play at Michigan. And our last finalist, Amaris Williams, the defensive lineman, plays at Clinton High School in North Carolina. He is committed to Florida. Next up, the All-American Bowl Offensive Player of the Year Award, which is given annually to the top offensive player in the country. The finalists are Jason Brown, running back out of Odeya High School in Seattle. He is committed to Arizona State. Nye Carr, wide receiver from Colquitt County High in Norman Park, Georgia. He is committed to play at Miami. Jeremy Hecklinski, the quarterback out of Walton High in Marietta, Georgia, is committed to Wake Forest. TJ Moore, wide receiver from Tampa Catholic High School in Florida, he is committed to Clemson. And Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver out of Chaminade Madonna Prep in Hollywood, Florida. He is committed to Ohio State. Next up, the All-American Bowl Defensive Player of the Year Award, given annually to the top defensive player in the country. The finalists are KJ Bolden, defensive back out of Buford High School in Buford, Georgia. He is committed to Florida State. Sammy Brown, linebacker out of Jefferson High School in Jefferson, Georgia. He is committed to Clemson. L.J. McCray, defensive lineman out of Mainland High School in Daytona Beach, Florida. He is also nominated for the Anthony Munoz Lineman of the Year award, and he is committed to Florida. Zadavian Sims, defensive lineman out of Durant High School in Durant, Oklahoma. He is committed to Oregon. Kingston Viliamu Asa, the linebacker out of St. John Bosco in Bellflower, California. He is committed to Notre Dame. Next up is the All-American Bowl Player of the Year award, which is given annually to the nation's most outstanding high school senior football player and is the most distinguished individual award given in high school football. The finalists are KJ Bolden, defensive back out of Buford High School in Buford, Georgia. He is also nominated for the Defensive Player of the Year award and is committed to Florida State. Sammy Brown, linebacker out of Jefferson High School in Jefferson, Georgia. He too is nominated for the Defensive Player of the Year award and is committed to Clemson. Carter Nelson, tight end out of Ainsworth High School in Ainsworth, Nebraska. He is committed to Nebraska. Braden Platt, linebacker out of Yelm High School in Yelm, Washington. He is committed to Oregon. Jeremiah Smith, wide receiver out of Chaminade Madonna Prep in Hollywood, Florida. He is also nominated for the Offensive Player of the Year award and is committed to Ohio State. Taylor Tatum, running back out of Longview High School in Longview, Texas. He is committed to Oklahoma. Next up, All-American Bowl Man of the Year. Each finalist selected epitomizes a high standard of excellence in community service and athletic distinction. The finalists are Heaven Brown Schuler, defensive lineman out of Pace Academy in Atlanta. He is committed to Clemson. Haas Haney, quarterback out of Alito High School in Alito, Texas. He is committed to TCU. Grant Mills, long snapper out of Cannon High School in Concord, North Carolina. He is committed to North Carolina. Peyton Pierce, linebacker out of Lovejoy High School in Lucas, Texas. He is committed to Ohio State. Peyton Woodyard, defensive back out of St. John Bosco High School in Bellflower, California. He is committed to Alabama. And last but not least, All-American Bowl Coach of the Year honors the nation's top high school coach for exceptional coaching abilities and leadership skills and acknowledges his role as a positive influence on young student athletes on and off the field. The finalists are Nate Browner from Bishop Gorman High School in Las Vegas, Damian Jones from Chaminade Madonna College Prep in Hollywood, Florida, Claude Mathis from DeSoto High School in DeSoto, Texas, Lauren Montgomery from Bixby High School in Bixby, Oklahoma, and Nate Moore from Washington High School in Massillon, Ohio. The award winners will be announced during the All-American Bowl Award Show on Friday, January 5th in San Antonio. Also, be sure to tune in to the All-American Bowl on January 6th at 1 Eastern on NBC.
We are moments away from Emaree Winston's commitment, big time commitment. This kid is a physical inline blocker, can block in space, a dominant runner with the ball in his hands. When you throw the ball, this guy gets open, and on contested catches, 50-50 balls, he boxes out like he's getting a rebound, goes up, pulls it out to the air.
Love it. Let's tell you a little bit more about him. The four-star tight end is our 8th ranked player at his position, a top 20 player in the talent-rich state of Georgia, and the 119th ranked prospect in this cycle. He has narrowed down his dozens of offers to 3 finalists from 3 different conferences. You've got Ohio State, Texas, and UCF. A lot of people watching to figure out where Emaree Winston goes, so if you can, go ahead and hit that like button, and we will welcome in our guest of honor, Emaree Winston. Emaree, you made it to this day, so tell us, how has the recruiting process been for you?
It's been really fun. Me and my family have got to meet a lot of people. We've traveled a lot.
Well, listen, I know you got a bunch of beautiful people around you. Who you got with you today, my man?
My two sisters, my mom and dad, and a lot of people from Calhoun.
I hear a lot of giggles in the background. It sounds like you've got a full room there. So we're not going to waste any more time. Emaree, the floor is yours. Tell us where you're committing.
Well, I want to thank everybody for coming out today. First, I'd like to thank God for giving me the opportunity to play in a sport that I love at the next level. Without him, none of this would be possible. Second, I'd like to thank my family and friends for supporting me through the journey, including my extended families. You know who you are. Third, I'd like to thank my coaches and teammates for pushing me to be the best I can be on and off the field. And last, every school that has recruited me, I want to thank them, especially Coach Key, Coach Blackman, Coach Banks. With that being said, I'll be committing to the University of
There you have it, our breaking news. The number 8 tight end in the 2024 class, Emaree Winston, has just picked up the Longhorn hat and committed to Texas. So Emaree, tell us, why Texas? Emaree, can you hear me still? You got me?
can you repeat that?
Yeah, tell us, why Texas?
The first time I went down there, I just felt like that was the place to be. My family enjoyed it. I enjoyed it. I like Coach Banks and Coach Sharp and Coach Choice. I felt like that was the right spot.
What kind of players Coach Sark getting down there in Texas? Give me a little bit about your skill set and what you're going to bring to the table.
I like to move around a lot from the tight end, receiver, running back, really versatile out.
Emaree, if you could see the YouTube chat right now, it is a lot of this. A lot of Texas fans are super excited that you have hopped on board. So speak to them. What is your message to those Longhorn fans watching right now?
Hook 'em. Let's play SEC ball.
I love it. That's all it takes. A nice hook 'em. You're going to be saying that a lot for the next few years. Emaree, thank you so much for allowing us to be part of your big day, and a huge congratulations. The Longhorns, yes, the Longhorns now double their commitments for 2025. That's my way of saying that it is very early on in the process, but to help us break down this big addition, let's welcome in on Hank South of Horns 24/7. Hank, how does Emaree Winston fit into this Texas offense?
Yeah, I think one of the foundations of Steve Sarkisian's offense is having, that wide tight end that can be there and block, that be that inline position and block and, create lanes. So I think that's exactly where he fits. But I think he's much more than that. I mean, you look at his frame, 6'1.5", 235 pounds. You think, oh, yeah, inline blocker. And he does do that. He does that great. Mm-hmm. But as Smoke was mentioning a minute ago, I mean, he can go up and get those contested balls, like right there. He has a basketball background. He's already, averaging 10 rebounds a game at the, at the high school level. And that shows on the field, I think. He's a really big matchup problem for a lot of defenses. And, he's very athletic. He has a very athletic profile. And I think he can do a lot with what Steve Sarkisian, Jeff Banks, and this Texas staff are going to ask him.
Man, big time weekend, big time flip with Xavier Phillips. What were they getting down there with this young man?
Yeah, I was talking with Jordan Scruggs earlier, my colleague on Horns 24/7, and I'm not sure Texas has they recruit elite level guys a lot, but Xavier Philsamy, this kid is special. He's a rangy safety. He's a converted wide receiver to defensive back. And that shows, he has a really athletic profile. He's played a little bit of quarterback. He's played all over the field. So he's got the ball skills. He's physical. He's an instinctual player. He can tackle really well. So I think, heading into, the SEC next season with Derek Williams, who's established himself this year as a true freshman, and adding a guy like Andrew Makuba earlier today from Clemson, and now Xavier Philsamy, pairing them with, Kobe Black, the other guys they have. Texas is sitting pretty good right now at the defensive back position. I think it's probably the top class in the country in terms of that position group.
Texas is sitting pretty good just in general. Now this latest flip makes them a top 5 class. And Hank, we know that if more news breaks, you'll be all over it, and we will check it out at Horns 24/7. Thanks so much for being on the show. This is the place to be if you're a Texas fan or just a fan of football and want to know what's happening with one of the top classes in the nation. So be sure to check out horns247.com. You asked, and Smoke is about to answer. We got some viewer questions here. This is from a Maryland fan wanting to know if you think that Coach Locks is going to pull another rabbit out of his hat on signing day.
Absolutely. This is, I mean,
it's what he does.
He breaks the internet every single year. Last year it was with Neo Avery. This year I don't know who it is because I haven't sat down and called Coach Locks yet. But this is who Coach Locks is. He's going to find something and he's going to bring that spatula out and someone's going to get flipped over on that hot spatula and you're going to have somebody tomorrow.
Okay.
I'll wake up with some breaking news.
Wake up with some breaking news. All right.
Locks gonna get it to you.
You heard it here first. Okay, we got another question here. Leading up to signing day, is there a prospect that you feel is not getting the attention that he deserves?
I'm not going to be a big homer, right? But D.D. Holmes is one of the better edge players in the United States. I can't speak too much about him because I don't want everybody to feel like I'm just DMV homer. But at 6'6", 250 pounds, he does some elite things in terms of pass rushing, setting the edge, and he's not even close to his full developmental stage. I would love in 2 years just to see where he's at in comparison to everybody else, but this young man needs a little bit more buzz. But in due time, hard work will take care of it.
Don't worry, Smoke. You put it on tape, which means that we can cut this and we can show it when you're right in a few years. That's what the fun of doing live television is that you got your takes out there and you can remind people when you were right.
Collect receipts.
I love it. Yes, we are collecting receipts, and we'll have plenty of them on Wednesday for our signing day show. Smoke will be all over it, as will just our entire network of reporters, analysts. We've got sitting head coaches coming on the show. We have really impressive players. I think we have a couple 5-stars that are coming on this show. This is going to be massive, so be sure to be tuned in to the 24/7 Sports YouTube channel for National Signing Day on Wednesday. For Smoke Dixon, I'm Emily Proud. Thanks for watching the College Football Recruiting Show.